Hi, so we're going to do a very quick tutorial on the stained glass creator from Heritage Typeco within the new Grandmakers Toolkit. So we're going to do it within Illustrator and Photoshop, so if you just want to follow along with some of the really basic steps. Okay, so here in Illustrator we're just going to create a new file. I normally go for quite a big artboard, just to give us a bit more leeway for editing the file later on. Now, there's a few different ways that you can do a very simple design. I'm going to go with some concentric circles. You could use the line tool, ellipses, squares, the paintbrush, whichever one you want. Now, we need to have a white fill and a black stroke. Just going to draw some simple circles here. And a couple of line segments to split this up. There you go. Nothing too complicated. This is just for a test to illustrate how to do something further down the line. Now you see this is obviously 1 pixel, very simple strokes. So we need to expand this with the brush to make it look like the leading style. So you can either go through the window and open the brush, or just open up the Windows tab, which I already have here. If you go to the 3 little lines at the top right hand corner, go down to Open Brush Library and Other Library. Get through to where you've saved your files. Now here you see they have the files for Affinity Designer, Photoshop and Illustrator, and Procreate. Obviously I said we're going to be using the Photoshop and Illustrator, so we're going to open that now. Now you'll see the leading brushes. Open that up, and you'll see the leading brushes Adobe Illustrator file. So open this. That will create a leading brushes set here, so you're going to select everything you've just created, and we're going to click on one of the leading brushes. You'll see that it generates a much thicker line style now, maybe up the points a couple of bits, and you'll see the nice rough textures, which is supposed to be the leading style for this particular brush that we've selected here. Now you'll see that it is still just a stroke, so we need to expand the appearance. Object, expand appearance. Now it is expanded, but you'll see it's split into lots of little subsections. We need to put these together. We'll go with the Pathfinder tools. I'm going to select Merge. That'll merge all of the images together. This will generate the black leading style. This generates one single image, so we'll need to ungroup this. Now if you click onto each individual part, you'll see that the ungroup has split to each little zone, which will later create each individual piece of glass. Now to make it easier in Photoshop later on, we're going to colour each one of these sections to a rough example of what colour glass we're going to use. So we're going to open up the palettes. Really simple, just drag and drop the colours that you want, or click on each individual part. There you go, extremely simple design. It's just for a test. Now the next step is quite important. There's only one layer with lots of little sub layers in Illustrator. Illustrator and Photoshop don't communicate in this way, so we need to split all of these sub layers out into each separate individual parts. So if you click on the little circle to highlight them all, the 3 little lines, and release layers in sequence, this generates a little sub layer. You're going to select each one of these. and drag it. Oh, sorry, made a mistake. Select them all again. Drag it outside of the first layer and it'll generate, in this example, 11 separate layers, which Photoshop will be able to recognize. You'll be able to edit them properly. So here we're just going to export the file. You need to select it as the Photoshop PSD. Just give it a quick title for this one, circle test. If you want to use the full artboard, and that'll create the full size file that we made before. Now I normally select a high resolution so it's easier to edit later on. It's going to be very important that you select right layers. And for the anti-aliasing, just because you're going to be using graphics, I would select this option, Art Optimized, and it's going to write the Photoshop file. At this point, we're going to open it up and move across to Photoshop. Okay, here in Photoshop, we're just going to open the file that we just generated. Circle test, open. And you will see in the bottom right hand corner, each individual part is split into a completely separate layer. And this is how we're going to edit the file. So first of all, we are going to work on the leading, the black layer in the middle. Maybe worthwhile at this point just editing the size of the image, because the high resolution was selected. Photoshop amplifies that and creates a massive file. So zoom into this one if you want to. Okay, and here we're going to edit the leading style, the black strokes in the middle. So open up the window, select Styles. It'll open up the Styles tab on the side here. If you click on the three little lines, go down to Import Styles, find your way through to the files before, and you'll see, again, this one, the FX Styles is the Photoshop format. I'll click on there, load, and you'll see it's generated that. If you click on the layer, and then click on the leading style, and you'll see it has applied the style to the leading layer. Now may as well also on the styles panel open that back up again. This time we're going to open the glass styles. So again, go to the three little lines, open up the glass styles folder, and you'll see massive amount of different glass styles. They've got lots of textures and colors. My personal favorite is the clouded marble. So click on that, load. If you open that up, you'll see in the folder all the glass styles for that particular selection. It's really simple as just dragging and dropping for this one. Just for this, decided to put a little black background layer. Could have done this before, but you go, pen bucket tool, black background. This makes it a little bit easier to see in some parts. So if we zoom in, you will see the leading is quite flat, very 2D. So if you double click on the layer, bring up the layer styles panel, and you can start playing around with this to as you see fit. Not every single option is important. Some of them can have really good effect to make it a bit more 3D, give it a bit more texture, change the bevel. Just play around with this and see which works best for your design. Now as we're going through, because we've got the preview selected, you'll start to see it having a bit more of a 3D look to the leading. Select some anti-aliasing options if you want to. Again, just do what you see fit. Have a play around and experiment. Now that you're happy with the leading section, we're going to go into each glass side. Now you see at the minute all the glass grain is heading in the same direction. Doesn't always really happen in real life. So if you really want to play around and make it a bit more realistic, change the angle of the pattern. So we'll go on the pattern overlay option, go to the angle, and again just play around with how you like it. It doesn't have to be exact. Change them all to slightly different options and you'll see that they don't then line up. And it gives a little bit more of a realistic style, in my opinion. Again, just see how you like it. You can change around with the pattern overlay. You can play around in these ones with the inner glow and the shadows. You can do them for each individual one if you want it. Or just leave it as it is if you want as well. It's really up to you. So at this point, you would just save and export it to whatever format you want. Again, I know it's a very, very simple design. You can do some amazingly complicated stuff with this package, so it's well worth the investment if you want to buy this one. Or if you've already bought it, this is what you're watching. So yeah, have a play around. Join us on the Facebook group if you want to. Okay, thanks very much for watching.